Okay, welcome back. So just picking up in part two where we left off. Calculators. There is a calculator policy for the class. You can use something like a TI-89, although it's not clear to me how helpful that will be. In particular, I myself don't own a physical calculator. I use the website Wolfram Alpha, and in this course you will be allowed to use that website on exams for certain things. So as we get closer to an exam, I'll make sure to clarify precisely what you can use it for and what you can't. Okay, but you can, if you want to, bring like TI-89s to an exam. Again, they're just limits to what you'll be allowed to do with a calculator, and those limits should be made clear. We will also be using the software GeoGebra, which is now available free online. So that's not a calculator per se, I guess, but that's the technology we will be using. No late homework, I already said. Class time is structured like this. I don't need to read that to you. Okay, let me just emphasize a couple of things about the grading of the homework. WebAssign lets you redo a problem as many times as you want, or at least it should. So if it's not, you should let me know, okay? So what that means is that on a WebAssign problem, you should be able to get it right, and you should be able to get 100% on that homework if you want. And the reason that WebAssign lets you redo problems is because, of course, the way learning works is you start by making mistakes, you sort of figure out what you don't understand, and then you can correct those mistakes. So much of the time, learning is in that mistake making and then correcting. And WebAssign is built to let you do that, you know. Now, if every homework problem takes you 20 tries, you should come see me, right? You can still get full credit, you know, but if every problem takes you 20 tries, something is wrong, you should come see me and we'll sort it out. On the paper homework, you can do the same kind of thing. You can get full credit after making mistakes. So what happens is any problem on which you don't receive full credit on a paper homework assignment, you can get full credit for it as long as you come to my office before the next exam. Convince me that you know how to do that problem now, or problems like it, right? Convince me that whatever mistake you've made on that paper, I will not see that same mistake on an exam. If you do that, I will give you full credit back. The only exception is, you have to make an honest try the first time around. You cannot give me a blank sheet of paper and then try to correct it later. It's not how it works. Okay, exams. There will be some exams. There'll be a couple quizzes. They're on the schedule, which we will look at in a minute. Grading works like this. You're welcome to email me anytime. If I don't respond within a full day, please email me again. It just got lost in the shuffle. I, of course, try to respond much more quickly than 24 hours. I try to respond as quickly as I can. Sometimes that's instantaneous, right? I leave my email open a lot. So if my email is open, I hear the little ding, I will respond right then. But sometimes it takes a little longer. Email me about whatever you want, except for things like this. Don't email me to ask me what my office hours are. Questions that can be answered with this document. You should just look at this document. This document is on Moodle. So it's faster to look up this document on Moodle than it is to email me and wait for my response. Okay, briefly here, let's go over the last two sections. Since all of you are in Calculus 3, you probably don't need me to tell you how to succeed in a math course, but just if you find yourself struggling or you find yourself feeling lost, just here are some strategies that are worth articulating that you can try. The first one is probably the most important. You should ask questions. If something confuses you, anything confuses you, you need to ask me about it, okay? If something bothers you during lecture, you don't have to ask me right then if you don't want. Some people don't like asking questions in front of other people. That's fine. Ask me when lecture's over, when you're working on problems. Ask me in my office hours. Ask me in an email, whatever. But you need to ask, okay? And I really want to emphasize right here, some students think that if they find something confusing or hard and they ask me about it, I'm going to judge them. I'm going to think they're dumb. I'm going to think to myself, why didn't the student get it the first time? I already explained this. Why are they asking? Okay? Some students think that. They think that asking questions is like a sign of weakness or something, and that I will judge them if they ask. So I want to emphasize here that that is false. Okay? That is completely false. I don't judge anybody for asking questions. I much prefer that you ask questions. In particular, I am fully aware that learning doesn't work instantaneously, right? Many times, right? When I was a student, I did not understand what my professor said the first time around. That's fine, right? I don't expect you to understand everything the first time I say them, right? So just be willing to ask, right? I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm happy to talk math with you. I'm not judging you if you have questions. So please be willing to ask over anything. Use your resources wisely. I'm your best resource. You also have textbooks, classmates, free tutoring, all these things, right? So please be willing to use resources if you feel lost. Keep in mind that the homework is not there as a chore or a way for me to just kill some of your time. Homework is there to help you learn this material, but you have to use the homework conscientiously, especially the online homework. As I mentioned earlier, if you find yourself using 20 tries on every homework problem, or if you have somebody else do your online homework, things like this, right? Then you should be able to diagnose that you don't understand the material very well. And then you should come to me for help. Okay? So as you're doing the homework, make sure you think about, do I really understand this? Could I do this problem on an exam? And if the answer to those questions is no, then please come see me. In particular here, WebAssign can't grade your work, only grade your final answer. On your exams, I of course grade your work. So what you might want to do for some questions on WebAssign, you can always just write down the work you think would get full credit on an exam and then come ask me about it. You can always show me sample work if you would like, and I could give you a sample grade. So you should do that some. For some of the WebAssign problems, you should work the problems on paper, and then even if the answer is correct, ask me how that would be graded. You should come to class. You should be willing to struggle with difficult homework problems, right? Much of learning occurs in struggle. If all problems are easy for you all the time, I guess that's fine, but that's probably not going to be the case. And the harder problems oftentimes are where you learn the most about the material. So be willing to struggle through those problems. Learning is your responsibility. Keep that in mind. If you don't go to class, if you don't pay attention in class, if you refuse to ask me anything, I can't really help you, So be willing to sort of make that first move. Finally, if you've missed a day of class, I've learned I have to include this in my syllabi, right? You don't just come to the next day of class having done nothing. That is often the strategy that my students adopt. That is a bad strategy, okay? So if you miss a day of class, here's precisely what you should do. Go to Moodle, see the schedule. Okay, so here's the schedule right here. Let me open it. This is on Moodle. Make it bigger. Okay, so this shows you day by day what we've done, right? So if you miss, say, Wednesday, August 28th, right? You missed the dot product, section 12.3. So you know what we missed. And the schedule, by the way, includes exam days and whatever else, right? So you can see what we do day by day. Try to read the section of the text that you missed, paying attention to the examples. Get course notes from somebody. And also ask that person if you missed anything that's not in the textbook. Things like advice I give about the upcoming exam or whatever. If something bothers you, write it down so you can ask me about it. And once you've done all that, come see me if you have questions. This is what you should do if you miss a day of class. Okay, so that's the syllabus, and this is the schedule. Hopefully that is clear, and I'll see you in class on Monday.